Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can paint this adorable little cute cuddle Abominable Snowman. This is a really fun and original design, but I think he's going to be special to many of you because he's very easy to do, and he's essentially just a gumdrop with eyes and lots of fur. So you're going to actually enjoy putting in... Whoa! I scared myself. I turned that down and it came at me like gangbusters and said no. This is a live show.
Yep.
Did you know that? You do now. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He helps me with these crazy technical moments and then laughs at me when they happen.
Well, that's okay. I forgot to push the Make the Sherpa Big button.
Oh, there I am. All of me. So if you have never been here before, first I want to welcome you. Say hi to everybody in chat. This is a very welcoming group. I break down these lessons step by step so that beginners can understand everything that I'm doing. It also helps if you're even more experienced and you're painting along, because painting along with the lesson is a little bit crazy. Remember on the live show that you can pause me and the live chat will continue, so you don't have to paint at my speed. Don't put that pressure on yourself. On the website is a traceable that you can download if you don't want to draw the gumdrop. That is okay. No problem at all. We have that for you. And 7 to 14 days after the show, we release a resource called a mini book. And the mini book matches the steps that we're going to be showing you in this video. So those will be time stamped. You can find your place again. And then those steps match the steps of the mini books that you can download for free. What? All of that's free? It is. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up because that's awesome. If you think he's cute, hit a thumbs up. Hit all the thumbs up when you come in. There's a little poll to remind you. And John, let's go over the materials.
Okay.
I'm little again. Okay. On the surface, I have an 8x8 surface. I have the wish or intention on here for you guys that you get good news and have joy in your life, especially as we're coming up into the holiday season. It can be a really difficult time of year. And so I wish all of you to have the support and love and the great energetic people surrounding you to keep that energy up. On my palette today, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, Mars black, ultramarine blue, phthalo green, and titanium white. So the phthalo blue is on this side and the ultramarine blue is on that side. If you're, having trouble telling those apart visually, believe it or not, in time, they will look nothing alike to you. It's really funny how that happens. But when you're new to painting, these two blues can seem similar to the eye until your eye develops a sense for it. And then it's going to be like, that's ultramarine blue, and I know it. Shall we put up a step? All right. You don't have to have the pre-sketch. That's just a little thing I put into the universe for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get a brush wet. This is a 3/4 inch Princeton brush. It's in the Catalyst line and it's an angle. And I'm going to just get a little kind of bit of ultramarine blue and just get a little bit of blue on this canvas. It's very transparent. I'm just trying to get it out of this bright white because it's a dark painting. And sometimes having what's called a ground or toned canvas can really help you. Get deep results and depth of color on your painting. All right, if you're in the live chat and you have a question during the show, be sure and put that all in caps so that the moderators know. Sometimes the moderators will get you a link to a video that answers your question, but sometimes we'll answer your question and call out your name right in the show. Like Crystal Blake just walked in and I said her name. Hi, Crystal. How you doing? Lily Cleveland just came in and is saying thank you for the live Q&A last night. If you weren't aware, over on my mom's channel, Ginger Cook Live, we did a crazy long live Q&A where people asked us questions and we both answered, and it was a hoot and a half. We had a lot of fun. And we're not going to have another one until probably in spring. So that was a nice one to do. Okay. Let's see. Just blue. Not a problem. Very simple. And it's okay that my little pre-sketch is showing through. It won't affect my final painting. But you just want a little bit of blue. It helps prep the canvas for paint. It makes sure that if you're doing dry brushing that there's color underneath and it's not white canvas showing through. I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer. John is going to mute me for a second,
Sure.
And then we will get on to the next step.
Yep. So, man, so nice to see everybody out here in the chat today. If you guys have not had a chance to come meet us in chat, it's one of the great places to come meet other people of like mind and like heart who want to paint along. So, it's fun. Come hang out. Good to see everyone. Hello, Heather. Hello, Karen and Crystal and Melinda and Angela and Amy and it's like romper room where you're looking through the little friend scope to find all your friends, and all our friends are here. That's pretty cool. That's a really weird, obscure reference, I suppose. But yeah, so I think I've ran out of things to say about, like, I don't know, 30 seconds ago. You'd think I'd be more practiced at this, but I'm really not at this, man. I'm super grateful for how long we've been able to do this, but I can't believe how I dare say it, this many years, I am so unprepared for when you leave me for more than like 10
it's
seconds.
It's like 10 years. Like, you think you'd have a speech prepared.
I would be like, but no.
You want to know something funny is we're considering doing some improv classes in Ireland. Because
maybe that will help.
We're not going to stop doing this, and
perhaps
we need to get a little better at it. I want to send some light and love to Amy right now, who's going through a challenging time, and I'm just going to say that I hope you are surrounded by good people. Okay, so what I'm going to kind of do is sketch in the early stages of my gumdrop, the little laying. So I'm not painting a bunch of sky where I'm going to put a cute fuzzy thing right over it. There's just no point.
This is a stepping place?
This is a stepping place.
Good, I want to make sure before we stepped it.
Step 2. I'm going to take a round brush to do this sketching, and I'm going to take my phthalo green and my burnt sienna and make a very dark green. And I'll just come across here about the lower couple of inches, and I'm going to make a little line, just sort of sketching that this is my little snowbank that Cutie Patootie here is sitting on. I actually considered making a custom stuffy of him. I was so into him. I thought he would be just super fun. And maybe like I'll make custom stuffies of all the monsters and creatures that I create. That'd be really fun. They have that as a thing that you can do now.
I know. It's one of those things.
So I'm going to come down, I'm going to say about 2 inches from the top, and then kind of arc a little round line here just a bit. Just widen him out. You can always kind of proceed cautiously when you're trying to do stuff like this, where you don't have like, too much going on. I might kind of lighten this up just a bit with my brush, kind of scumble it out. So when I go to paint over it with my gold, you can use chalk. Chalk is a nice solution sometimes because it lets you erase. But I have found if my stuff is sort of wet and the underneath is dry and I come back with a damp brush, I can actually do this, which is pretty effective. All right, so he's going to take up about this much space as the main character of my surface, right? That's pretty okay, pretty easy. I'm going to come in and I might sketch in his features a little further into the thing. So you can use the traceable now and sketch in all the features and everything, and you'll just be ahead of me when I go to put those in. How's that sound?
Seems like a good idea.
All right, let's call that a step. I think Amanda Morehouse is trying to say hi. Hi. Oh, and Nancy says, love your videos and tutorials. You make painting fun. I hope so. It's fun for me. So I would hope that I keep it fun for you guys. It would be so counterproductive to not do that. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. You ever do that where you just fail at the simple task of swallowing things? I just failed at the simple task of swallowing things. I think I'm going to do my big round hog. This is a number 18 Raphael Artney brush. You might not have this brush. So what you'd be looking for is a nice big brush that's going to let you blend on your surface as you go around. I like hog bristles or stiff synthetic. If you don't have this and you have this little fellow here, you could use it if you're good at your blend with your oval mop. That's another good option, or with your round blender. So if you have a blender you're good with, but we're going to be doing a blended background. I'm going to get my brush wet. All right, and we're going to start putting in the sky. Now, the sky is sort of an interesting little deal here. I'm going to start with my ultramarine blue and my phthalo blue together. And I'm going to begin to darken what I have, going right over the blue that I put down on my surface. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. You can even come down into my little snowbank a bit, and I'll go back where, even though I know I've got fur coming here, I'm going to go ahead and not worry about that. Because I want it to layer right over the sky. So getting this basis of blue, ultramarine blue. Got a little wet there. I'm going to push that back. Now, I am going to get a little white onto my brush. And start to blend in a bit of a glow. Notice that I'm using a light pressure and I'm working into my wet paint. Not too bad, is it? This works because the paint underneath is wet. If I were to paint really slow and my paint dried on me, I would just be brushing this color over the top of the paint. In acrylic, when you're trying to blend, the big trick is that you either need a medium to help you do it, or the paint you're blending into needs to be wet. And I'm just using the brush to blend in and brush in. Look at that little soft pressure. Hopefully John is capturing how I'm not pressing the brush into my canvas.
I think so. You can really see it from the cut angle, from the cross angle.
That's why I would do the cross angle. So you guys can see little subtle details like that, because that can be hard to know that an artist is doing when you're observing how much pressure that they're putting on the brush and how they're angling the brush to get an effect or a blend. You can see I've come through a couple of times just building up this lightning. Didn't rush myself, took my time. Okay. That is pretty good. We're going to call that good there. We're going to rinse this brush out, dry it off with a towel so that it's not soaking wet. And then we're going to dry all of this and come back for another step.
Sounds good. Now, wow, so much chat. Oh my gosh, you guys are going. I was over here running to buttons and pushing things, and didn't get to catch up in the chat. So I better not look over there, otherwise I will totally get distracted. So what I'll say is, in the links hidden down below is where you can go to our website. Now, if you haven't signed up for anything on our website, do it soon, because there's a lot of cool changes. Coming.
All right.
So, next step.
Next step. If you were doing this on a card, on a paper card, I might be tempted to do my background sky in watercolor and then paint the rest of the painting in acrylic on top of the watercolor. Just a thought. If you're doing it for a card. John, can you mute me for a second?
You're okay there. All right.
Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to take my Mars black over to my blue mixture that I had earlier. And I'm going to come from this outer end and start to deepen my sky. This is actually quite a dark sky. Kind of getting a little blend in here. This is finger blending. I don't do it a lot, but it is something you can do as long as you don't have any CAD on the brush. I'm going to just work this color around the edges like a vignette. Phthalo blue, little ultramarine in it, Mars black. Now as I come in, I can go back into my little white that I had before. And remember how we talked about blending happens? When we're working the wet surface into a wet area. See, I'm just kind of lightly putting that in. Take a little white over to my blue-black mix. Right? And it is lighter. It starts to create that vignetted glow. This blend is working 100% because it's wet on wet. This nice dark galactic sky. With a bit of a halo, bit of a glow coming up. Just layering it up. We're being patient. Sometimes in art, it's hard to be patient. I am very much lightening up my pressure in areas that I need to blend better on. And I'm wiping off on a paper towel between my palette and my canvas. I'm going to come back here, get a little more blue and black. We're going to just bring this down a little bit. Lightly. Now we're going to go from this to the next step. Trying to decide if I want to work it wet into wet or I want to dry and then do a blend into it. So that's always a challenging thing. Just get the light when I want to come in and lighten it. Isn't that wild how that creates such a depth?
Really is.
Patience. It would be the hardest skill to learn when you're new at painting. Because you kind of want it just to... Do you remember when Bob Ross had an intro where there was this magic brush and the brush would go over the TV and then the painting was revealed?
Uh-huh.
I think there's a part of us when we're new at painting that we kind of wish it was like that.
For sure.
I'm adding another layer. Because remember, what does acrylic painting do sometimes as it dries? Darkens. Color shift. So sometimes you have to come in and lighten it as you see it so that it doesn't over darken on you. Light pressure, scumbling it around. Give yourself time. I think that looks quite good. Very blended, soft effect. Hi, Lollipop. Oh, that's good. Isn't that good? I think I will go ahead and try it.
Can I just dry it real quick?
Yeah, and you want to microwave coffees?
As soon as you go back. It's hard to microwave the coffees and push the buttons while we're doing this in the live, because then you guys get bored because I don't endlessly ramble. And I mean, maybe you could do without the endless ramble, but, you know, then no one will be here to mute and unmute, so, I don't know. Maybe? It depends on, I guess, existential crisis about talking during a commercial break. You know, I don't know. So, anyway. But nothing, just reflection. So, all right, I'm going to push a button and then warm up coffee.
Okay. So in this next part, and while John's warming up the coffee, then we'll talk a little bit about the process and why we're doing the process. When you're doing a painting and you're looking about when do I paint something, sometimes a strategy is to say, I'm going to paint what's furthest back in my landscape, right? So since my stars are the furthest back thing, I'm going to want to paint them before I put in my trees or him or his fur. If you've got my splatter brush, you could definitely do the splatter technique. And I've got a whole bunch of videos on how to easily make stars. I'm going to be using some fluid white acrylic paint. This is the professional version of craft paint. So craft paint is a self-leveling, soft-bodied paint. It's great for those types of projects where you want the paint to smooth out on the surface. But professional paint also carries that. And the difference is this pigment is much more pigmented and the polymers are slightly higher quality. But you could use a craft paint, and I don't think in a painting like this, it wouldn't make any kind of a difference at all. So that's why I would use that. I'm going to put that on my palette a little bit. And I'm going to test out some new things I got. I was at my nail salon. So if you've been following the saga of my nail salon, and she had these great little brushes with these little beads in them, and they had a little tip end for making little dots, and then they had these really fine brush ends for making fine lines, and I thought, that's what I need in my life. And then my eldest child was so sweet and went online and purchased me one. So that's the story of the dot brushes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now, if you don't have this, you could use the back of a detail brush. See, they're not that different in size. I'm going to dip it into my paint, and I'm going to come here and put one directly sort of over him, down a little bit from the top. Kind of wanted him to have a little halo around him, so I put the little stars like this. The problem is when I do a digital design and then I go to paint it, especially when I'm putting in my reflective stars, there's a digital ruler and I can just build one perfect star and then just make them bigger and smaller and then kind of paste them around, which is super easy. And then when we go to paint it, it was like, oh yeah, that was a lot of work. What was I thinking?
Well, you know.
It's what you do. I still think it's a good idea. I know a lot of you guys are actually looking to do that and thinking about getting like an iPad Pro and iPencil if you can and doing some digital painting. And I highly recommend it in your design space. Remember, you can take your trip photographs and throw that in there and paint right over them.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Those are the little placement of his stars. I think that looks pretty good. Now, the issue is I can't do anything else until the dots are dry. So I'm going to dry them with my hairdryer. I'm going to sip my coffee. We don't have to make it another step. It's still one step, but it does need to be dry.
Okay. Just, yeah. And the reason is that if you don't dry the dots, then, whoops, why is it not doing that? Oh, I see why it's not doing that. That's why it's not doing that. There you go. So if you don't dry the dots, then when you go to make the next brush stroke, they'll smear. And they won't have those perfect little dotty dots. So Now, the important thing here, and she'll probably say this again when she comes back because she won't hear me saying it, is to make sure you thoroughly dry them, because underneath there they'll skin over if you're not careful, and you just end up with the top part that will be dry, but underneath it will still be wet, and so it'll drag off that little top part, and you gotta be careful. I was just saying that you gotta make sure you thoroughly dry, because you can just skin it to skin over, and then sometimes it'll tear through, and then
Yeah, I like to test it with my finger a little bit, make sure that they're stabilized. Just a little.
Stable dots.
Stable dots. I'm going to use my favorite tool for this. This is the Princeton Round Blender number 12. Comes in other sizes. It's something. Oh,
I think that I might be an unstable dot.
all right. Whew, the hiccups. I got to stop swallowing so hard on my coffee.
Yeah.
I'm like,
power the coffee.
You can get them in smaller sizes, bigger sizes. I really like them. They're great for blending. They're great for bushes. They're just great for hair, trees, all kinds of things. But if you use them with a fantastic tool like gloss glazing liquid, which, by the way, if you just can't get blending, adding this into your brush and then painting slows down the drying time of the paint and can be the rescue method that you need. I've got a how to blend acrylic like oils 6 easy ways video, and it talks about how to use this product to do that. Melinda K, could you mist your canvas to help blend? Yeah, you can, but the issue is sometimes you get an underbinding lift in the layers, so you've got to be kind of careful about how you do it. You can, and I would recommend facial misters over pump spray misters. Oh, you know, I always think that I'm there, and then I go to squeeze it out, and I realize I've capped it and uncapped it so wrong so many times.
Oh, look, there's someone.
I'm going to have you clean up.
It's almost coming from the top of the world. Alex.
I'm going to just pour it.
From frosty Ottawa.
Ottawa?
Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, Canada. Hello, Ontario,
First time
Canada.
here, going to say hello and paint with us later. It's -4°C or -24 degrees Fahrenheit there. That's a little chilly.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah. It's cold.
It's an inside day.
So how I use the glazing medium is I put my brush into it. If you don't have this, you will just use a very wet paint, like a thin paint with water,
Same
and then
step?
you have to let it dry. Yeah, I need a step.
You need a step?
Need a step. Oh,
Okay.
wait, no.
I thought you said
same.
it was the same step. Okay.
Don't confuse me.
I'm not. I'm asking questions to clarify.
Now I'm going to get a smidge of my yellow into this brush. All right, so I'm taking the thing there and a smidge to the yellow, and I'm going to get just a smidge of white. Less is more here. We can always add more pigment. And you make little kind of circles around what will be my starry stars. And again, you can do this with water, but you have to let it bind a little bit longer. So I do recommend the glazing liquid. That's one of those things, if you can get that, if you can't get that, try floating medium from Plaid. It's not quite as good, but it's close enough. And if you're only going to do this technique, it would be fine.
Trying to adjust. It tends to be a darker painting, so it's easy to lose things in the shadows. I'm trying to get the camera to compensate for what she's doing. So
compensate. You're overcompensating.
It is. My brush is or my iris is all over the place. It's like, what do you want me to do? Open? Close? What?
Another technique you can do if you can't get the glazing medium is that Liquitex Basics is already pretty transparent. So sometimes you can get a good glaze with it just right out of the tube. It's crazy. You know, what makes it frustrating to professional artists can actually make it a very good tool if you understand its nature. Just adding a little more yellow glow to this. Are the sparkly stars that important? I don't know. They were important to me. I don't know what to put them in the first place. All right, that's looking pretty good, isn't it? We have a nice little glow there, and it's unexpected. How do you get those little glows? You know, with the new telescope, the James Webb, having some galaxy techniques is not a bad idea because we're getting such better pictures of our universe now.
I don't know. It's just more of the same. Galaxy after galaxy, endlessly sprawling across the universe like nobody had a plan.
I get so existentially freaked out sometimes over that stuff.
It's like it's turtles all the way down, man.
But here we go. We have the beginning of lovely glows in our sky. Lisa Vineyard says, I've heard you talk about CAD. Is there something wrong with them? Are they dangerous? There's nothing wrong with them, and they can be dangerous. So cadmium is not good for you inside your body. It's also in batteries and in other products. And if you ingest it and it's not coated, it could cause cancer, which is very dangerous for people that work in the industrial paint field and in battery fields and certain types of construction. Artist cadmium is coated because the paint companies don't like to kill their paint mixers. And it's bound into either its oil or its acrylic polymer. Now, if you're not eating it and you're not setting fire to it and you're not sanding it and inhaling it, it's absolutely not a problem. Some people can be allergic, but honestly, with any paint product, anyone can be allergic at any time. It's just something to be aware of. But again, it's coated, so it's a little different than the cadmium in your batteries. And a big EU study was done about our participants in the cadmium, issues around the world. And then they found out, no, not at all. Like we're like a drop. It's the industrial paint industry that's the big issue. So I always say something because anytime a paint has a warning on its label, I just like to let you guys know that it does. Lots of paints have little warning labels that mean don't drink it, don't burn it, don't sand it, don't inhale it. Lots of paints. But you weren't doing any of those things, so you're probably okay. I don't know if I'm going to use this one. It was such a good dotting tool. I don't know. It's so fine for the Starlight. I wonder if it'll work. So this is my nail brush found on Amazon.
Same step here?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Just want to make sure.
I'm seeing if it makes a good brush for making these little structural lines. You can also use a #1 liner. This works very well too. I'm just testing this. So if you have a #1 liner, that's what you would use. I'm using this little nail thing. I feel like I'm going to go where they make these and be like, this is close, but I need it like this. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Like a little set of detailed brushes like this?
Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Now we're just making little vertical lines up and down the stars. This twinkle star works everywhere. You can twinkle any star this way. It's going to be interesting on the time lapse. A little thick there on the paint, so I might take my other brush, kind of clean up that line. So I just took a damp brush and I'm coming here and I'm just cleaning up the line. Which you can do if you didn't know that, as long as the paint underneath is dry. Isn't that wild?
It really is. Karen's like, just please do your own set so we trust to know which one to buy.
Yeah, so once the store is open and that is working, that will allow me the latitude to just like go get brushes made. Yeah, I was realizing last time I was talking to Mom, I could get Mom's brushes made too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe we just make brushes. I don't know. I could do that.
Well, I think that there's a lot of things that will be...
Oh, I don't need to do the crossbars yet. I'm going to keep doing the verticals.
There's a lot of things we'll explore once we get that first stage
That
set up.
first stage.
Gotta get to level 1 before we start fighting
Yeah,
level 4 bosses.
it's like when you got to kill all the rats. Neverwinter Nights. This is a lot of sewer rats before you can go anywhere or do anything. Just working these little vertical lines. It's kind of boring, but also kind of relaxing. I'm getting used to it now. I don't hate it.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of...
Am I being fussy? Maybe. Ha 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 ha. That was a good cleanup. See? Don't get stressed about it. Don't get stressed about it. You're good. Hard to paint this one.
Hansa.
I'm about to make John's producing of the reels just miserable here in a second because I'm going to turn it to the side.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
So the reason I do this is that keeps me from dragging my hand through wet paint, and it keeps me stroking where I have the steadiest stroke.
You mean moving the brushstroke sort of up and down consistently makes it so that you can make easier brushstrokes consistently?
Yeah, and I'm realizing that I did the X one on these because I thought, I'm going to be...
You're just now in free rotation. You're just like I got all artist willy-nilly, and
I did get all artist willy-nilly. Happens to me. Get into the design,
you're just like,
and then I don't think about the execution.
You're just all about the sparkle, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Well, this one is going to have to be this because I already did that. I'll just give him a
tune up there.
Yeah, I'll just give him a tune because I went the old way I do it, and that's why I'm doing him like that, because I'm like, okay, I went the wrong way, but I don't care. I'm going this way. This is actually this particular where I did the diagonal little things is because of I was looking at the James Webb sparkles.
The diffraction lines.
Mm-hmm. I guess I do have horizontal bars too. This is just going to be a weird short.
No, it'll be fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can do all sorts of crazy things. Like, I can make it so that you never rotate it. It's
really?
Just like, yeah, because I can rotate the object and
that's not fun editing for you.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's fun to do that, to be like, but what's also kind of interesting is that sometimes nobody sees what I do because what I do is intentionally making that disappear. Like, so unless you knew the original footage had rotation in it, and if I remove the rotation and you can't tell, then I feel like I did a good job. So sometimes doing the best job is when you can't tell I've done any job.
Oh, you and your craftsmanship. Doing genius things every day.
I don't know about that. I think it's just sort of like, somebody gave me a big toy box of toys that I can do stuff with, and now I want to play with all of them. So I'm like, ooh, I can make that thing happen.
I'll come back to that in a minute, because I did not like that at all. When that dries, I can come back and fix that.
Just rubbed it out.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Just popping in these lines. You could also use a Posca pen. If you weren't loving it.
Oh yeah, that could be cool. And that's not even. That's just a. Is Posca acrylic pen?
It's an acrylic pen.
That's not even mixing media. That's
It's
just
not even mixing media.
That's just like I'm using a different applicator. It's
just
like
using a different applicator. So Posca pen is perfectly fine to do this with. Just want to make sure I got sparkly stars. I said I was going to do sparkly stars. Keep my word in my paintings. Oof, as a step. But we got them. We got them. We did them. Nail tool on Amazon. Yes, I'm so ready. I'm going to dry it and go to the next step and sip my coffee. I need it after that. That was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So there's little stars. We like the sci-fi stuff. So, and it's like, it's like what the Sasquatches say. You gotta believe in yourself, especially when no one else will. So, it's an important message for you to carry today from the Abominable Snowman to you is believe in yourself. So, because you really can do it. And I do believe in the belief of oneself.
Good grief. Stars.
The
night is full of stars.
I was abominably existential.
Were you?
Yes. Said, you have to remember, and this is a true, like it's my Sasquatch truism. You got to believe in yourself even when nobody else will.
That's true.
It's very true.
You got to believe in yourself even if everyone else thinks you're a mythical creature.
That's the hard reality for some of us.
Let's hit me with a step, baby.
Oh,
hit me
you
with
the
step? Best step.
That one.
Hit me with another step. All right. I don't actually sing, don't worry. Number 4, round
you sing just
artsy
fine.
brush.
I like your singing.
It's very patient with me. Now you could use a fan brush here. I'm just going to use this hog round brush. You could use a round brush, any brush you want, because we're just doing a very simple pine tree.
I'm a fan of that brush.
You're a fan of this brush?
Da-da-da-ch.
Oh, man, did I walk into that. Sometimes I walk into your jokes. So I'm going to come up here just a little bit below my star, and I'm going to make little lines that sort of flick out. And they fan. See how they fan? Not really terribly hard. The stars were a little bit of a challenge, but this part not.
Yeah, it turned out nice.
I just wanted there to be trees. I don't know what to tell you. And the ornaments, I took that layer on, I took that layer off. When you work in digital, you can put it in layers. And I took the layer on, I took the layer off, I took the layer on. I moved it was a journey. I do consider digital painting real art. I don't necessarily go, oh, I'm a real digital artist, because I'm not as versed in all those tools. But I do like it for design process so much. I come over here and do the same thing. Just little downward strokes and a little fan, each one getting a little longer. The skirt of the tree gets wider as you get to the bottom. Not too bad, right?
Yep.
You can handle it. I just get a little water every once in a while just to improve the flow off my brush. Hey, Cinnamon, I saw you and your mom last night. Y'all are so cute. I know, I agree. I think we're super cute. I think my mom and I are a hoot and a half. Very much enjoy it. I'm glad I've gotten to see my mom these 2 times between, her travel and then our going over to Ireland. I'm glad we've gotten to see her. Glad the kids have gotten to play with her.
Yeah, it's been really nice. They have been thoroughly enjoying the heated pool.
They really have.
It was like, wait, you can warm it? What?
Yeah, they really enjoyed that.
It's not a very big pool. So
oh, Rebecca Hoffman, thank you. Hello from Frosty, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. First time here, so I'm watching, and I will paint later tonight. Am I really behind on chat? No, okay.
You're super behind, aren't you?
No.
No?
That's right now. That's right now.
Oh, I thought I said that earlier. Maybe I'm super behind. Don't.
I checked, it doesn't scroll up anymore. We're just doing these, right? You can see I'm going really behind where the fur is going to be because these are all layered. And down below where the snow line is, because the snow line needs to come up, it comes in kind of last. How is that doing? Are you guys loving it?
Yeah, I think so.
I had slightly different heights on the trees, just like nature would give us slightly different heights on the trees. We can call this a step, and when we come back, we're going to kind of lay in the beginning. I'm going to put in the face and then start the snowman.
Okay, so
The Abominable.
we don't even need to go to a drying cycle. You can just go directly to step.
What is my opinion on retarders, pros and cons? So retarders are things that slow or delay the drying time of paint, and I think they're fantastic. This is technically they changed the words to slow drying extender for acrylic colors because as you go from country to country, words have different meanings. But what they basically do is slow dry your paint. This one glazes, so you don't have to worry about the ratios. Other delayed drying agents, you have to be very careful about how you mix them, but I think they're very useful.
So, step, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. I think I'm going to get just a light blue to sort of sketch in my eyes here, just because I'll be able to see it as I'm putting in my fur. I'm using a number 1 liner just because it's going to give me a nice line. And I'm going to imagine that this is the center of let's actually chalk it in so you guys can see it. Just like a face, when we do human faces, we have this center line down. I'm going to come up in the middle of what is the head and make a line across. And this is where the eyes will sit. And then a little down from that is where the nose will sit. Sometimes just telling yourself what it is. Right, I'm going to come across, go up. It's a pretty big egg. That's how much of an egg I'm going to want on that eye. I'm going to do the far eye, so I'm going to make sure that it's the same distance from that center mark. And I can come and make sure it's the same height and about the same bottom. And that's how you sort of duplicate those eyes. That works on all eyes. Duplicating what you did on one. To help create the other. Match them up a little bit. I'll go ahead and come in with my black line just so I know where it is. Be like, all right, the inside of my eye going to have this nice pupil, and it's going to be towards that inner corner, isn't it? Now I can move this as I paint it, but this just lets me know where things are. And sometimes you want to know where things are. Now, if you already had your traceable worked out, you don't need to do this step. You're good. You might kind of harden it up in paint if you used a chalk or cerl paper for your tracing. Come here and be like, round the top of the nose and come down and join it down there. Yeah, like a little teddy bear nose. And then just making sure I can see things. Sometimes a little pre-sketching goes a long way. I'm not worried about being perfect. I'm just worried about having placement. Because when we put on layers of paint, we put on so many layers, right, guys?
Yeah. I like to see you sketch him in.
Okay. That's the face. Let's call it a step. So easy at the stage. Step 8. I think I'm going to use, I'm going to use these two rounds. This one is a slightly bigger size. This is an 8 and this is a 4. I'll get the 4 out if I need little details, but I'll get the main body of things in on my 8. I'm going to begin the basis of his fur with a little bit of burnt sienna and Mars brown. Burnt sienna and phthalo green. What was that? I'm going to very carefully flick out little edges of fur on his outside here. See what I'm doing? Letting those little edges go. Not too dissimilar from the tree that I did. Now on the dark fur, I can start playing with my fur directionality, but I won't really see it too much until I do the highlights. So this is just a good opportunity to practice. And at least then my brush strokes will definitely have all the directionality that they need. I'm not going to put on my Christmas bulbs or my bow until I have the fur in. And basically designed. Just burnt sienna and phthalo green. Come out here, kind of around the little head, and we're flick the little hairs out, right? You could use a fan brush here. You could use a grainer. You might get a grainer involved for the detail fur. I'm going to get the basis of the fur in right now, though. Now, on the base of him, I'm going to come back with some black and work that right into here, right at his little belly. And where essentially his little paws in the snow. Now rinse that out. Ooh, you've got a green blob. Are you thrilled?
He's fuzzy green blob, though.
It's a fuzzy green blob, though, isn't it? It is a fuzzy green blob. Let's call it a step. We're not going to dry because I kind of want it to be a little bit wet, maybe. And we'll see if I like that. And if I don't, I will dry it. Now I'm going to use, this is a tool you can get just at a lot of craft stores. Filbert grainer, grass comb is another tool that will do this technique. A rake is another tool, fan brush. So you're looking for a brush that's good at making fur. And you can also create this by taking a filbert and snipping out uneven little breaks in the filaments. Though, do know, what does that do? It voids your warranty. But it does seriously void your warranty. I'm going to get my color here, and I'm going to add some white to it. I got my little fluid here, so that'll make it a little bit easier. I'll load up the edges of here. I'm going to come to the outside edge. Haven't ever used one of these joys. You could also just very carefully with the detail brush do little hairs. Fan brush. Flicking little hairs out there. Sometimes a little more brown. A little bit here in the middle. Leaving that dark fur where I have it, right? And you can see I kind of like when it's blending the dark green fur and the light green fur. Could be hair. I'm saying fur, but maybe he's like, you know, a Yorkie. And his hair never stops growing and he has to get haircuts. Karen's like, please just do your own set and then we can trust it will be awesome. Yeah, I know that feeling. All right, continuing to add a light color. This again, Princeton Velvet Touch Filbert Grainer. This particular one is 3/8. Worth investing in if you can get it. You can find them on sale.
Now, do you ever have an experience, and I think Kathy was asking about this, where you look at your painting one day and you come back the next day and everything looks different?
Yes. Which is why you see artists working on stuff for years. That's why they do that. I'm adding a little brown as I go. That's why artists do. They work on stuff for years because you look at it and you see it one way and then you come back and you see it another way and you come back and you see it another way. Being on YouTube has forced me to kind of sit and complete art because I'm teaching, right? But, you know, normally in painting, you work on a piece and you kind of take it in and you work on a piece and you kind of take it in. I'm keeping this not my lightest color. It's definitely my fur and that's happening, but it's not my lightest color. Go ahead and get a little of my yellow on here and a lot of my white and some of this color right here. See, I'm mixing this light color. So if you're feeling that, you are very normal. Isn't that lovely how we're hitting that lighter outer edge? Not too in, we're keeping it on the outside edge. I would love it if you made a brush that's a hog and synthetic mix. If I do get into making brushes, you can believe that's going to happen. I don't know why that ever stopped. That was crazy. Will it ship to Canada? I don't know if immediately it will ship to Canada. Some products might ship to Canada. I don't know if all products will ship to Canada.
What I can say is that for Canada, with e-commerce, everything happens in stages. You turn one thing on, then once that works, you turn the next thing on, the next thing on, the next thing on. Canada is super high on that priority list.
Yes.
But we aren't able to do it at launch for some technical reasons that involve testing, really. So we do have it on our short list of things to do, and as soon as we can, we'll let you know more.
Yeah. And then once we're settled over in Ireland, we'll be able to do more global shipping, actually.
That's what we're looking at, is how can we do just more global.
Put a little curl. See how I'm curling the fur right here? For under the bow. That'll look cute under the bow. Just a little bit here. Just picking up those highlights. So see how that sort of creates a shape by leaving the shadow here and along the little arm? Creates a little shape. Flicking that out. I love this brush. I will definitely have this as something that I make. But until then, you can trust this brush. It's a trustable brush. The grass comb from Silver, right? Even though I'm not doing stuff with them, it's still a good brush. Look at that. Did we just totally get kind of total into his fur or what?
Yeah.
Get a little bit of the yellow into that yellow green right here. Maybe even some yellow ochre. No more green than that. But when I'm worried things need to be more green than that, I just come over to the green that I had earlier. There we go. It's capturing a little bit of these outside hairs. Just exaggerating them some. All right, that's a step. He's so furry.
He is furry.
All right. So furry. Back to the hog brush, right? I'm going to do the smaller one just because the head's a smaller space. And I'm going to take my burnt sienna and yellow ochre and work them together. And we'll begin like right under the little nose thing. And let's go over our little layer for a bit, because they will layer, won't they? Around the eye. Trying to prevent grump in this creature.
Ah,
So I'm trying to keep those
see.
eyes
I can
very
see it.
open.
Yep.
Because I have a tendency to get grump. I don't want no grump. Kind of like not wanting any scrubs. Just don't want none.
Right.
I'm just flicking little hairs. He's so cute, isn't he? Lisa Vineyards, have you ever painted ceramics? Yes, I have gotten to paint ceramics. My uncle was actually a pretty well-known ceramic artist. He had a huge working studio in Spokane, Washington. I think it was Spokane. It was Seattle. And he did big, massive pots and sinks and large installations, and it was just really gorgeous. So I got to paint a little with him, and then through art school and stuff, I got to do that. I really liked it. The thing about painting ceramics, like if you do it with glazes, they can move as they melt. So that's always an interesting challenge, is getting to know how the glaze is going to be once heat hits it. And then, of course, now they paint ceramics with different products that are made for that aren't necessarily heat-based, which is also interesting. I've gotten to do that at some of the locations that let you come paint ceramics. And my most treasured china in my house is not china, but it's cups and pitchers and things that my kids made me at one of those locations.
Mm-hmm. The
And
pottery stuff.
like that's the stuff that I can't have anyone break. That's the most important thing. There, we're just getting that dark value up here and getting that layer on, right? Now I'm going to add a little black over here to this mix. Come over here with the black and a little of the brown. I'm going to come sort of right here under the, a little bit. And a little bit right here on the outer side of the eye. So we're getting a little bit of that shading there. That will help us later. All right. Looking pretty good. Now, I have
Really
to stop
yeah.
here, dry it, paint the eyes and the nose before I can do the final layer.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
The final layer?
Final layer. Well, not final layer of the face. Final layer of the face.
Yeah. So, just to thoroughly dry them, and that way when you put your highlights on there, it doesn't pick up the under painting color and make them muddled and muted. And that's where you get those nice strong layer effects.
How you doing?
Good. You ready for another step?
Yep. Step it up. Get my round brush, my number 4 round Simply Simmons. Get my phthalo blue, and I'm going to come into the eye. I'm going to paint outside the pupil. You can paint into it a little bit. This dark phthalo blue. And come down a little bit. Right here, again. Phthalo blue. And then at the bottom, I'm going to get some of my white there. And blend those wet into wet. Now this particular one here, if you'll notice, had some of that yellow in it, so it's impacting that blue, but we want that. I'm going to just feather kind of blend it right there. And back to the blue. That looks pretty good. It's a good start. I'm going to rinse that brush out. Go ahead and get a little of my black on there. And very carefully paint the irises in. This is not my only layer, but it's just the beginning. And so far, he's not disgruntled, so I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's easy to add. It's a little more challenging to take away, which is why sometimes I approach things cautiously. I'm going to take a little of my black and add it to my red. Paint in my nose. Okay. Let me go a little darker. A little black into the red again. And while it's still wet, put a little shadow right in the middle. Kind of darken that outer ring. It's just layer 1, so don't stress on it. Okay, let's dry it and we come back for another step.
Okay. And these are the eyes. We always like the eyes so much. Break them up into a couple of steps so it makes it a little easier. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more on the next one so you can really see some of the detailed brushwork there. So,
all right, guys.
are you ready for the next one?
Yes. Very ready.
There you go.
Woo! So I'm going to take my number 1 monogram liner now. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little more red into my mix over here and make a kind of brighter color. Over the top. And then it's interesting, I can get, believe it or not, a little white into that. Kind of come down the nose and back up. Have fun. And then maybe a little up that way. I know. Get a little more white into the red. Just a hint across the top of that nose. Rinsey, rinsey, rinse, right? I take a little bit of my phthalo and a little of my cad yellow and a lot of white. I'm going to come under the eye here. Really try to put a nice little highlight in there. Get into my phthalo blue. And go into the top. And then I like to kind of mix like a mid-range. Come on the outer edge with a bit of a highlight. Just working that eye. When you have that kind of good, wonderful little blue blend going in, that's what we're trying to do, is get a nice blend. As soon as you're happy with it, you can rinse out and get your black. Create a nice, smooth, deep, tightly painted little iris on the outside here. And that's where sometimes a delicate brush is just really helpful, because it lets you really get that. And put a little bit of a dark area here, kind of under the nose. So when I come in with the fur, it's a little defined. Not too much, because we've got to be able to paint it back. Alrighty. Just phthalo blue and a little white. There we go. We can let that be for a minute. Is there a replay for Cinnamon and her mom last evening? Yes, you can go rewatch it anytime. Shall we do a new step, John?
Sure, if you would like a new step.
I think I need a new step while this is having a dry.
There you go.
I'm going to get back to my grainer and come in and get a little of my white and yellow ochre. And begin painting out the little gold top fur. Now, here's the deal. Between the eyes, the fur is going to go upward and kind of curve around. Come around the eyes like this. down there, like have a nice little flow. Down over the green fur. Under the nose here, we're going to kind of come in. And then again on this side. Same. I'm coming kind of around the nose in a little halo, like a little fan. Just putting his little fuzzy face. Celebrate good times. I love it. I love winter Christmas paintings because we get so little winter where I am. I'm so glad you're enjoying them. I love the little creatures because actually a lot more people paint the little creatures and end up being pretty happy with them because the pressure is low. Like your little creature, my little creature, all little creatures are good little creatures. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to get a little of my white, yellow ochre, and cad yellow kind of mixed together. Start painting some little fun fur up here. That's fun, isn't it? Kind of doing little S curves. Come on the edge if I want to clump little fur together. See, I can kind of work it out the edge. Come down between the eyes. I'm not going to go all the way down the nose. I kind of want a little dark area there. So I'm going to watch for that. Haloing out right there. Oh, I like that halo. Don't you love that halo?
I totally do.
It's like, that's sort of a threatening, don't you love that halo? Can we do a teddy bear tutorial? I so want to paint one. Well, that's always a lovely idea. Make sure that we layer our fur, two fur colors, sort of well over each other. Now as I go through, I'm going to add a little more yellow and a lot more white. Kind of haloing right over the eyes. Just adding those highlights. Just brushing over the eye. Isn't it fun? Well, it's fun to me. It's very fun to me. Just on a little edge, maybe this little lighter area. A little bit there in the little forward, little part of his little nose. Try to get right up to that little nose right there and pull that little highlight out. And see, by letting some of the fur be dark and some of it be light, it kind of creates that shape around his little face, doesn't it? And if you ever want to shape some, you can always come back with like different paint and you're okay there. And adding a little highlight right here. So it creates those zones. All right, I think that's good. I think we'll call that a step. Let's dry everything and we'll come back and do what's next.
Okay. He's abominably cute. So cute. I'm loving this. So thank you guys. Look at over here, seeing all the people in the chat. Thank you for everything, for hanging out with us, being here. Would thinning the paint help you use a filbert grainer? I will ask her that when she comes back, Melinda. My eyes. I'm looking over at the chat, making sure you guys are all having a good time as I'm here. Did you see the question from Melinda? Would thinning the paint help you use a filbert grainer better?
Yeah. Yeah, thinner paint. I was using the fluid white acrylic to mix in, and then I didn't have to use water. If I didn't have that, I would thin my paint with water, and I was dipping in my bucket pretty often too. It needs to be a thinner consistency. You can even get acrylic inks too, which is a nice power move. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red over here and mix in some of my, interestingly enough, ultramarine blue. Not trying to make purple, but I am making a darker red. I'm using my number 4 round, and I'm going to come under the chin here and give myself a little bit of a button for my bow. Come out, making 2 little curve lines, and then I will join my bow. I think I'm going to turn it to the side here. Kind of like a little bow tie moment right now. And then, well, it can be too big. I'm going to put some little ties that are coming off of it out. While I'm here also, I'm going to take my brush and as carefully as I can, I'm going to make a little circle and paint that in. Slightly bigger circle. Come over here, and I've got one right there. Maybe a bigger friend right next to it. And I can do a small one here. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and yellow ochre. I didn't even really rinse out my brush because it wouldn't be necessary. And I'm going to do a little top. Do another little top. This is something to start with, right? We're just getting those in. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and dry this and come back. We're going to do the next step.
The next step. It's going to look so good. I can't wait. The guy's looking so cute. Abominably cute, as I say. So, stick around here. I think there's just another couple layers before we get to the decorative trim on him. He turned out so cute.
Barbara wanted to know if I had a bridge, but I don't have one on me. However, on my Amazon store, I have a mall stick and a bridge there. I have all the stuff that I paint with there in the store if you're looking for stuff, except the new Artini D-brushes. I don't think those are in there yet.
You ready for your next step?
Yes, I am. I'm going to go ahead and get my little detail brush, my #1 liner. And go ahead and get just a little bit of my blender. I'm going to grab some of my red. Mix it over to where I had my blue earlier. I want a slightly darker red, but not all the way dark. I'm going to come here to the top of my bow. Paint a highlight. Little C-curve highlight. Come across the upper end of there. Little lines coming out. It's just the beginning. A little bit of fold in, coming along this outer edge with, again, it's not my full highlight because my cad red is still there. And then right here, a little bit more out on the edge. I love painting these little ribbons, I do. I'm going to go ahead and put my brush into my ultramarine blue, making a much darker color. Come under my bow. I'm adding my deepest shadows. See how we're creating shape that way? The outside right there. Little shadow here in the middle. Little shadow there. Then I'm going to come get my pure cad red. And add it a couple places on my bow, which should pop. Just be so bright red because of the reflections. See how we're starting to get it?
Yeah.
Just a nice little What? Super nice. I am going to take my black on my number 1 liner. Come here on the outside of my little ornament attachments. Putting a little bit of black right there. This one will have 3 little lines of black. You painted metal with me before, you kind of know that these things have, they are more about their reflections than anything else. I'm going to take my black and yellow ochre. Yeah, add little reflections there. Right. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and use that red and blue mix and hit another little layer on my ornaments. You can see I just have a little bit more control with my small brush, and that works for my favor. These are dark shadows on the ornament. It has to stay round though. Okay. Let's call this a step so you guys can see how to get here, especially on the mini book, and we come back and we'll add some more highlights. Did we do the step?
I think we can. Let's see here.
Are we out of steps?
Well, luckily,
Oops,
I made
I'm so sorry. I had no
more.
idea I was there. Are we really at 16 steps?
Yeah.
Really? I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
That's all right. One of the reasons why I was a little quiet over here is I was preparing a few more steps and loading them into the system.
Well, I don't blame you.
I was like, well, she's probably going to keep going. So now, keep in mind, you have until 18. So you have 2 more steps.
Can I have a couple more? One last long and final step.
Very final step. There's 2 more. Yeah, 2 more steps. There's this one. So go far on this one.
I'll go as far as I can on this one. I'm adding a little highlight with my red here. It's toned with a little bit of the blue, but it's just a bit brighter. Again, at the top of the ornament. Adding a bit of these little highlights. Not too bad. Now I'm going to come over to my, interestingly enough, my yellow and my cad red. Make kind of an orange. The orange should be just a brighter area in the center. I'm not using white because I'm going to get that in the very last minute. I'm trying to warm and lighten it up. Grab a little yellow and kind of blending even right on the canvas. We're rinsing that out. Now I'm going to take my just plain yellow and my titanium white, still my number 1 monogram liner. And add some of the highlights that are the metal reflection. It's amazing how when you just add the reflection to the metal, you suddenly can totally see what it is. And I love that about that entirely. Now I might go ahead and grab a little of my dark green or light green, either is fine, and just make a little bit of a, so I'm kind of hiding that a little bit. So they feel that they're buried in the fur. I'm going to grab my red and a little of my white. Adding a little double highlight right there. A nice little hot spot right here. I think I'm going to add a little bit to the bow too. Just to give it some zhuzh. Sometimes a little bit of reflection on a ribbon goes a long way. Okay, and while I'm here, and I've got the white on my brush, one reflection, two reflection on the nose.
You really are going far.
What you said.
That's okay. You give me
I'm
like
gonna take my
you
white.
have 2 steps. You can go. You got another step.
It's okay. I'll do them in the snow.
Okay.
Because I've got to have I have to finish the snow here.
Yeah, you gotta do some.
So
snow.
I'm taking my white and putting it into my ultramarine blue cad red mix. I'm going to add a little bit of a reflection there. And there. Top of the eye and a little bit here, right? That's pretty good. And I'm going to rinse out. Add a little bit of just white there. Just a little less down here. That's because the eyes are nice. Maybe just a pure pop of white. Okay. We can call that step. I mean, it's cute, right? Deborah Goodwin says he is so stinking cute. Yes, he is. He is super cute. He is so cute. And the last little bit that we're going to need to do is our snow. I'm going to take just an easy.
You have one more step left too, so you don't have to. You even have room for a 1 buffer step. You have 18 steps. So we're on 17. So we're okay.
Well, I got him. So.
You got him. You're here.
Now, this particular brand of brush you can find in a lot of locations. This is a number 6 Simply Simmons Bright, and it's got hog. This particular one is a size 6. And I'm going to take my ultramarine blue and a little of my Mars black and some titanium white, and I'm going to make fairly dark gray. I'm going to come here at the bottom. Of my snowbank, put in my shadow. It's very dark. Just painting it kind of loose and scumbly, aren't I? Oh, Michael's saying, Michelle Art. Is it Michael Art or Michelle Art? I always get these things wrong. I think it's Michelle Art. Is saying that, just correct me. Don't let me be wrong. working on animals, and this is helping with the fur. This really actually is a good class if you're trying to paint more animals. I'm going to get a little more white on there. Notice that I'm kind of doing little curvy, messy strokes. And it's light on the canvas. You could do this with a round blender too. Come up here a little bit on my edge, and then I'm going to work some fluffiness with just the corner. So it's sort of a controlled fluffy. And I'll fluff over the ornament a bit with just the gray at this point. Remember I said you wanted to go into your snowbank a little bit so that you had that give. That's why you want the give. This one is super cute. I'm loving this. I want a stuffy.
That would be awesome.
I want a stuffy of him. So this one sat a little more, and then the other ornament's a little more covered, and then this ornament's a lot covered. As we build the snowbank.
Yeah.
As we build the snowbank. Isn't
Just
it
kind of layers
a
in
fun
there.
snowbank? Noletta! What? That's been a minute. Hey. I love everyone who's come to do him because I think he's a lot of fun. And
He
I
really
think
is.
that if you learn these skills, you could make a lot of other little abominable snowmen that you would enjoy very, very much. You can just play with the grays, getting a nice little kind of roundiness to it. And then, you know, we just go up more into white. Not pure white, though. So that'd be too much. This is a nighttime scene. And you can see that it's okay that the snow shows underneath. Kind of like our forest, it's not, white snow isn't really white snow. Just making sure the transitions between the two ranges of snow are blended. So I'm mixing half tones, like my darkest tone and my middle tone and my light tone. And that's just really going to help me get the shape. Again, still using the number 6, Simply Simmons, just a little hog brush. And you can see by hitting the corner, it makes it kind of fluffy. What size was the Princeton grainer? So this one is a 3/8. I really like it. You could get every size they have. They're super useful brushes. They really are. Kind of like the round blenders. They're just useful. Just being sort of playful and dancing my little brush around, trying not to create an obvious pattern in my brush stroke. And just come here on that last little layer. It's still gray. Kind of almost a dry brush at that point, isn't it? And kind of dig him.
I really do.
I like the sound of the brush scumbling along on the canvas. It's really all it takes there. That's him there. All right, show. Nope. Sometimes YouTube thinks y'all said something you didn't say, so like we'll try to show your comments when it does that. YouTube is like, what? Okay. I'm loving him.
Super nice.
I think we're going to sign. And I think he's going to be cute short. Hurry up and finish him because he release and he'll do well. I'm just taking a little bit of my, not pure red because I don't want it to be overwhelming to the canvas, but I'm still going to use the red. Just the darker mixture of it. Come on, guys. Super fun, right? You know, it's just a cute critter. Just a cute critter. You could do him in watercolor. You could do him in pencil. You can do him in a lot of different little ways. He's just adorable. It'd be perfect in your home. Something like not everybody has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's fun about creating unique little beings and creatures, you know, for different times in your life or seasons or fanciful creatures is character design is a lot of fun. I love doing character design. If you're into character design, I highly recommend Bobby Chu. It's got does a bunch of stuff on how characters are designed. He works at like all the big houses and is a super artist, like really amazing. So that's like another good place to look at that to understand how do we create characters and how do these choices that we make within our characters create their personality. Is fascinating deep dive that you could get into.
Right.
Maybe I'll do a course on that someday. But if you can't wait, that's where you can go. Man, he was fun.
Certainly was.
Oh, now we've got some very light and fun glowing Christmas trees coming up on, I think it's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Tuesday?
Yes.
Then it's Thursday. It's Thursday. We've got some very fun ones coming up there. And then I think it's a gorgeous little red cardinal after that, which is he's going to be a lot of fun. Just a red cardinal in the snow. So sort of for the season, but not anything particularly, you know, seasonal. And then I love seeing what you guys have to say. C. Blanton is like, I love the expression in these eyes, you know, and everyone's talking about safety and taking care. And I agree. Right now, it's an important time to take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
It's a weird time in the world. Just, it's an understatement ever, right? Like every once in a while. It's not like, you know, the weird period where it went like flood, ice age flood.
Yeah.
12,000 years ago, but still weird. So, you know, just try to enjoy the good stuff is what I say. Try to enjoy the fun stuff that's happening and make sure that you protect your emotional space and curate the people around you as much as you can to those who come in and that you leave better than you met. Have you ever been with people that you just feel better when you leave them?
Yeah, totally.
Curate as many people in your life like that as you can, especially through the holidays. I want you to be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'm going to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.